Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, everybody, and welcome week 9 of WPL. So running towards the end here. Thanks everybody for showing up. Let me share my screen and we can kick it off. Hannah, I see you on here, so I'm guessing we will start with your match. That way you can get off if you'd like.
Awesome, thanks. I think Shiloh's going to join too. She's sort of aspiring referee and one of our captains pretty often. So
awesome.
We'll see if she can hop on. But yeah, great, thanks.
Sure. So let's just look at our results from the weekend. 1924, All Blues Beantown. That was Andrew's match, tight match, good one to watch. 67-12 down there for Brian. 747, that was Shanda. And then 34-17 for the Amazons match. Oh no, the Orsu, they were in Orsu. And that was done by our guest referee, Jonathan, and he didn't think he was going to be able to join us tonight. So this is what the standings look like as we head into the last weekend. Got the All Blues there at the top of the Blue Conference, New York at the top of the Red. So still kind of close here, right? 23-26. So
it's actually 27 after this last weekend, but they're sorting that out.
Oh, okay, cool. What did they record something wrong?
I think so. I think actually Beantown may not have signed the CMS yet. So it's like an automatic thing when the CMS is signed.
Okay.
So I think that's what happened.
So it didn't record itself yet. Makes sense. Okay, so we can get started then. Andrew, you were on that Beantown Berkeley match. So we'll start with you.
Awesome, yeah.
Let me find your thing here. Yes, this is you. Talk to us.
Sweet. So another really exciting game between All Blues and Beantown. I think both times that they've played, I think it's been the closest games in this league so far this season. First one was 15-13, decided in the 80th minute, and this was 20, that score's wrong. It should be 24-19, I believe. I think I just coded a...
I think that's right too.
I coded, it's 24-19. I coded a conversion wrong probably. But either way, super exciting match. Really well contested by both teams. A lot of kicking, to be sure. There was definitely a lot of ball in the air during the game. And I think that the story of the game in the first half was a little bit of disconnect between myself and the players, as just far as like what I was looking for versus what they were showing me. But we were able to clean that up in the second half. And I think that both teams were able to play really hard and play really competitively. So yeah, looking forward to potentially this game again in the future. Yeah, 22 penalties and a free kick. Definitely a couple that we could have done without, so.
Okay, any trends from the match that other refs need to be aware of?
I don't think so. I think the big thing again was like just that first half, there was just a disconnect between what I was looking for and what the players were showing me. And I didn't communicate that effectively, which I think led to the lopsided first half penalty count. And then second half, we had the discussion that changed pretty quickly, as is evident. So.
Okay, 8-6 isn't really that lopsided.
Yeah, I mean, just as far as like total per half.
14 versus 8 is what
I see your point. Now I gotcha.
Yeah, that's a big change in behavior.
On your page now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or Lee, or sorry, did I just cut you off?
No. Go ahead.
Lee, are you on? Okay, maybe not. Clips then?
Sure. So let's start off with, does red leave the lineup here, or are we happy to play on? So I know that this is something we kind of talked about early on in the season, maybe like week 1, week 2, was players potentially stepping out of a line out to try and not contest a maul. And given what I was told by both teams on the day where they wanted to maul, and I know that both teams are physical in their forward pack. This was something that I wasn't prepared to see. So what ends up happening in this clip is there's a line out, all Blues go up, they get their ball, they bring it down, and a maul is kind of formed, but also kind of isn't formed. They drive like probably 5-10 meters pretty quickly. And then a player swims down the side and brings it down. So I end up calling through the side and collapsing the maul versus is the right call here that they're leaving the line out. So curious what everyone's thoughts are.
Okay, do we need to see that again? So what is your feeling on it? Are you happy with the way this was refereed?
So I think looking back on it, I think still kind of yes. It looks like there's a couple of at least the front two players at the maul for Beantown are there to contest. They're at least hands-on trying to contest it, which is kind of the picture that I saw. But the fact that it marches, like runs, doesn't even march, it runs forward and the players are backpedaling at the same speed, that to me looks optically like they're leaving. And it's not something I saw multiple times from Beantown. This was like a one-time thing, which leads me to believe that it's just a bit of disconnect between like what they were going to do, but it just doesn't look right.
Yeah, okay. So to me, it seems like the maul is formed, whether Beantown steps back or not. Does everybody agree with me there, or people seeing something different?
Definitely.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree that as soon as they touch it, it's
Yeah, like right there, I
formed.
feel like.
Yeah.
It definitely looks like a few of them are right. The pillars are trying to part the sea and attempt to get out,
Yeah,
but the people in the front are still there.
yeah. And I think, so we're not going to penalize that because it's formed, and Berkeley achieves what they want, which is what have they just made their 20 meters, 10, 15?
Something like that, at least.
Plus, what the Beantown players who did not join the maul, now once it's formed, they're legally backing up to stay behind the offside line for the maul. So there's no infringement there until the side entry that Andrew saw.
Yep. So it sounds like we're all good.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, they just should have defended better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just one of those ones that just looks so weird optically. Like, is there something, any ideas maybe to manage or communicate that a little differently next time? Or
I don't think you need to do anything. The Beantown players towards the end of the line out or at the front, the ones in the middle engage, right? And then the ones maybe at the front and the back step back. Maybe they had attempted to not engage, but it doesn't really matter because the maul is formed. So for me, just keep going.
Yeah. I mean, maybe articulate maul formed if you're happy that it's formed.
yeah, I did just for like some continuity, to just kind of set some structure.
Yeah.
So
And that sets the parameters of all the things that they have to do and behave.
okay, let's do next first, same as the first. Very similar picture, but this time Beantown goes for their own line out maul drive. This is second half versus first half. And it looks like all Blues kind of do the same thing. And Beantown was smart enough to communicate within themselves to stop this maul. which is why you see it stop pretty abruptly and pass out the back. But again, like, you know, outside of communicating maul, maybe if it's formed, anything else we can do here, or?
I don't see an issue with any of that.
Okay. Yeah, looking at this live again for like the 5th or 6th time, it actually looks a lot cleaner. I guess now that it's zoomed in, but it was weird because on field, it felt like no one was contesting it and they were just trying to run with it, which is why Beantown ended up stopping that maul kind of by themselves.
I mean, like right there, it's formed, and then all these people are trying to retreat so that they can defend.
Yeah.
So. Anybody see a problem? Okay.
Okay. Then we just got one more, just kind of what's the right thing to do here. So for context, this is one that I also talked with the Beantown coach, Chris Muddy. Muddy, are you on? Okay. He asked about this one after the game, and we had a little bit of an email chat about this as well. So what's going to end up happening is a tackle is going to come in. The Berkeley player is going to be in the way, slowing the ball down while another one of their players tries to contest and win the turnover. So I'll play an advantage and things get sloppy, but Beantown is able to grab the ball. And I guess in the chaos, kind of everyone just takes a pause for a second and they go and within 2 phases score a try. And I'm just curious if anyone would do something different, just because it looks weird and the players do stop because I think they expect something. And to be clear, there was no whistle when it looks like I potentially blew one. There wasn't any.
Should we go slow-mo? I'm not picking up on any problems in that sequence initially. Anybody else?
there.
Other than sloppy. Oh, not rolling away there by Blue?
Yeah, that's what the advantage is for.
Yep.
Probably a knock
So
on by Blue.
I would say like probably like for me, at least with this Stockton, looking at this, like properly, that is an advantage. To me, our second sort of knock on there from our player who went to the ground, like that's where I think people were expecting it to just be blown up, right? Like there's sort of like a secondary problem here. And I think you go to blow it up, you don't. It seems like everybody's sort of waiting for it. So I would just say like this sort of happened to us actually weirdly in the last Beantown game where we thought that there was a knock on, like everybody, like we couldn't have picked it up like on an offside, and they ended up going, the 10 ended up picking the ball up and going and scoring again. So it's sort of reminiscent of that like first round. But I would say like our number 3 here, like thinks the ball's out, comes over that, and then it ends up being a knock on. And anytime we have sort of like she comes in here, right, like ends up knocking that ball off on the ground, like that's where I would assume it would be blown up.
But technically
first
it's
penalty.
just a second advantage. Or it could
Second
be-
infringement by the same team. Keep
Yeah,
playing
so that's where
advantage.
I'm like, at that point, most of the time on that second, if it was a secondary penalty as opposed to like that primary penalty that he was already playing advantage for. So like I would expect on that secondary like soft penalty of the knock on that it would be right away blown up as a penalty. But I think it's just you know, we should play to the whistle. There's no question that we need to be able to play to the whistle, but like any sort of secondary infringement here, I would just expect a whistle to be blown.
I don't know why
Yeah.
you expect that.
The law.
But I
changed.
understand. I mean, I think about, so in that scenario, right? There's the first infringement, the second, so it's all about like the philosophy around advantage. Like I think if Stockton, are you wrong to give advantage and continue to give advantage? No. But in that environment, nothing's come from it. It's a try-sprint opportunity. They're not, like, it's sloppy. I think a penalty here is the better advantage rather than letting
Better
them try to
advantage than a try?
capitalize. But okay, do they end up scoring?
Yeah,
score.
they get a.
Said there was a
the
whistle,
next
but there
tackle with
wasn't
high
a
tackle,
whistle.
They get an advantage and they score. Yeah.
He brought his
Okay.
whistle to his mouth and didn't blow it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing to me is like, Peter, I understand what you're saying. Like, we need to play to the whistle. But think about this as a player. If there's like, as a player, I'm quite confused. Like, what's happening? This is a really messy couple of like breakdowns and it's not very clear. And unless somebody has communicated, like if Stockton's yelling that out and clarifying each of those like secondary advantage, like as soon as I hear that as a player, I know that we're playing on. But sometimes there's like that gap in between where there's like, okay, is like something's not right here. We don't know what we're doing. We're looking to the referee to make that sort of judgment call. I think there's just that in between time. So you are totally right in the fact that like we need to be able to play on here. I'm just letting you know from like that player's perspective that it's not as easy as that, and it's not as clean and it's not as clear as when you're just like over communicating it the whole time. That's it.
Yeah, I do think, Andrew, if you did need to call advantage out loud so that everybody knew what was happening.
I did, and then when I looked like I was going to blow the whistle, I recognized that kind of that hole was opening up, and there was like a hard, like if you want to call it like a system reset, where it looked like everyone just took a pause for a second, and the Beantown player was smart enough to know that nothing had happened yet. And because I audibly yelled "play on, play on."
Yeah, okay, that's what you needed to do for sure. Is say play
Yeah.
on.
The one thing I did see, and this is one thing as a player you'd look for, his arm is still showing advantage that whole time, even though he did that whole thing with his mouth. It's still showing that he is still playing advantage that whole time. I know it's confusing. It did look a little messy, but I'm
looking.
Yeah.
I'm looking if he like looks like he's gonna blow his whistle. I expect that he's probably gonna blow his whistle. That's the other piece of that. Like I can see that advantage being held out. Like that's awesome. I'm also like, oh, he's got his hand up to blow his whistle. I'm looking to that probably. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just messy in general. It's on us to play through that.
Points. Yeah.
It's definitely on us to play through that. I think that there is a way to sort of make this clearer.
100%, no question about it. Okay.
Awesome.
No
Thanks,
more
Hannah.
from you. Hannah, what did you want to look at?
Yeah, at 6122. So like we can bring this back just a little bit. Sorry, I don't have these tagged in here. I still haven't figured that out. And also tagging this video at all is hard. I recognize that. It's like this really beautiful sort of semi-drone picture, but it makes it really hard to code.
Okay, 6122, offside knock on?
6122, yeah.
62-22.
No,
That's 62, Amanda.
Sorry,
Yeah.
am I getting my numbers mixed up?
yeah,
Okay. Oh, okay, so it's not tagged on here.
Yeah, but you can play it from there, and
We need to be at 61. Let me go.
22.
yeah, you can do 10-second. Oh,
No?
that doesn't seem right.
what are we looking for?
We've got sorry, it's a intentional knock on that we
It's
were
tagged. Let me find it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It was 62-22.
Okay,
sorry.
thank you.
Yeah, it
Sorry,
was-
62-22.
first one.
You do have it tagged. That's right. Apologies.
No problem. This thing would drop down further. 62. No,
62-22 right there, that one.
that's
Yeah.
offside knock on.
Are you, Hannah, are you talking about the intentional knock on like the 40 or so?
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Okay, yeah, it's tagged. It's
Yeah, I
right
know it's tagged. I
50,
saw it.
53 minutes, 53:50, I
Here
think.
we go.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. Nothing we can say, Hannah.
Yeah, so it should have been a yellow card.
Yellow
I
card.
mean, like, like, even in that, Stockton, like, I'm fine, like, even if it's not a yellow card, I just didn't understand how it wasn't even a penalty in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, this is sort of back to that, like, it definitely impinged on our line break, but definitely we weren't gonna score from it.
Yeah. So I'll be just totally honest. I was flat to the line, and I did not have the clearest picture of whether or not that player had two hands and was in a good spot to make a realistic attempt at the ball, or if that was just a slap down. And if you notice, my AR is just giving me a knock-on sign. So that's kind of the trigger that I took. And yeah, on review, definitely a yellow card. Absolutely should have been a penalty at least. 100% right.
Yeah, and I'll apologize ahead of time. Your AR was on the field of play half the time because our lines were so crappy. Like, we have had a very serious discussion about this after what happened with Life West the week before. So this is apologies to Stockton. He had to do 2 games with some codes on the sideline, but that yeah, anyway, just mentioning that.
So, being that this is not the first week we've discussed this, had you talked to your AR pre-match about intentional knock-ons?
Yeah. Yes, Wendy, we did have comms. Yes, I did mention that to both of them. Both these two guys I've worked with very regularly up in NorCal, so we work pretty well together as a team of 3. There's actually a couple instances in here where I tagged in and commented like, great AR work. And I think just both of us not in the right spot, or he just wasn't 100% clear on what he saw. But I mean, ultimately the responsibility falls on me. Like, I just need to work harder to be in a better spot there.
When he told you there was a knock-on, did you ask him for any clarification through the comms?
I did say just a knock. I said just a knock on, and he said just a knock on.
Okay. Okay.
Awesome. I'll look through those next time too, Stockton. Just sorry, I was just pinpointing it on my own tagging. So appreciate you guys and your patience. Thanks for everything.
We appreciate your input.
You got it. Thanks, Hannah.
And I guess that's the only one you had, Hannah? She gone. Okay, moving along. Brian.
That's me. Had a fun game out in Atlanta. Sun was shining. The turf pellets were warming up. Just really not much to say. It was a bottom of the table match, but Atlanta had a lot of life players from the university getting off of their duty for their college after the sevens last week, and they were all practicing for the first time together on the sideline. But it was a really good free flowing match, and all I was trying to do was keep it free flowing. Can see there 12 penalties. Min chose to blame for one of them. It was correct, but you know, I was going for league records there, so pretty disappointed. Didn't get under 10, but it was a really good game. There was good line breaks. I made USA Rugby page again, so thanks to them for always posting me out of picture and making it look like I'm slow. But yeah, there's not much to talk about. Really just a pretty straightforward, good game of rugby. There's one thing to talk about though. Let's go to the scrum. Do as I say, not as I do, because it's right there. What we have here is the 8 unbinds as soon as the ball gets put in. And being the shallow pedantic person that I am, I was like, that ball is out, you deal with it. But what happens is that the scrum goes down, and my coach Bob doesn't like scrums going down, which is a very fair thing. So I probably should have reset it here straight away. What I did do is the second scrum, I slowed down the cadence right away, and we didn't really have an issue until a new loose head was brought on in the 60th minute. But you can see straight away the 8 really unbind and kind of like swim dives into it, but misses the ball, doesn't get it out fast enough, and then we have the whole big mess up. And I was being shallow and pedantic. That's short and long of it.
Okay, given another chance, what are you gonna do differently?
I'd reset it. You know, I think Bob makes some good points. I was very happy with what I did the second scrum, because there was one not too long after. I talked to them, I changed sides to go that side, and I slowed down the cadence right down, and we had a lot more stability throughout the rest of the game. So it's just about getting it sorted out maybe earlier, just in case it was going to become an issue.
Yeah.
Then we can go. I don't know if anyone else has any comments on that, but I mean, it's pretty cut and dry that I should have blown my whistle.
Yeah, it's not an ideal platform for them to have to play away from.
No.
I think the guy in the gray shirt in the background really sums up kind of everyone's thoughts about that clip.
The guy like this.
What
Yeah,
was he doing?
Yeah, try of the year is probably a great clip to watch for a good.
This one is not the same one that USA Rugby posted today.
No,
though.
it's not.
Yeah.
And this one is clearly better, and it shows you there was a middle period here around the 20-minute mark that Atlanta just got on a roll, and they started throwing the ball around like the All Blacks, and it was quite pleasant on the eye to watch.
Well, we could always clip this ourselves and post it if USA Rugby doesn't
Exactly.
doesn't get the
What
message.
you'll enjoy is my very Matrix-like reactions at this ruck here.
This is
'cause I
good.
get in the way, and the 9 just goes up yours, Brian, which is very fair.
Well, that's what we've told them to do.
He's so good. And then that didn't happen in the game. They actually ran that. They didn't glitch through, but just another offload.
Bazinga.
And then a classic Brian smile to finish off the try.
I
Well
think
done.
Brian, you're in the frame at the end, which is why we wouldn't have selected this clip.
Thanks, Jamie. That's fair. I get it.
What else you got?
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a penalty try, or was it just a scrum? But the answer is it was a scrum. But at one stage, I did think the ball may have gone backwards.
I'm not sure the answer is it's just a scrum.
Yeah. The camera angle is pretty bad because it doesn't show the loftiness of the ball going. It was popped up,
Uh-huh.
and that player was there ready to snatch it.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, maybe it went backwards because my team, Australia, and I'm sure Jamie would agree, was really rudely taken away a game against Wales because of a very similar situation. Could be straight down, but
It could be an intentional knock on.
I think if you look at the trajectory of the ball and slowing it, the ball gets popped up there. It's actually not as fast as it looks. And that player had a really good look at catching that ball.
And 2 hands. I mean, it's hard to see, but
I agree. The pass looks pretty reckless to me. She shouldn't have passed it that close to a defender.
And the defender is putting up 2 hands to gather, and it's hard to see it. It looks like 1, but it's actually 2 hands up.
Okay, we don't care if it's 1 hand or 2 hands. We care if she
I
can
know,
regather.
but
Yeah.
I think
And everybody but me thinks she can regather.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Amanda. That's intentional all day.
I'm with a penalty on this one.
Mhm.
Could we get this one in slow-mo again? Sorry, Amanda.
Yep.
There's both hands under the ball there. And it gets pulled back and dropped.
What else you selling tonight, Brian? I might buy some.
And now that I'm looking at, it seems like the player is kind of flat-footed, and her only action is the arm up. So
Risk versus reward.
yeah,
I don't know, Jamie, you can be the tiebreaker on this.
Yeah, he just spoke.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, PK only. That wasn't there was enough defenders there, so it wasn't a line break.
Okay.
Yeah, but we've got to get these right.
Yeah, you might, high school girls, you might call that a knock on, but not in WPL.
Fair enough. I don't really need any more. I think a good line-out contest is a good video of
Oh, that was an interesting one. Is it flipped?
it's under the next one down at the bottom of the page
Oh,
there.
I see it. Yeah, when I
It
first
was a
saw this, I was worried.
great poach of hands on the ball, but looked like a player was getting taken out in the air. And the camera person does a great job to zoom in on this whole thing by themselves.
It does zoom in. Yeah, so it looks like she's getting pulled down, but the defense actually has all ball.
Yeah, Brian's in the right place to make a decision on that. That's the point of that video.
Mhm.
Absolutely agree.
Cool.
Yep. But
Thank you.
that's about it for that game. There wasn't much else that was too interesting other than some pretty good tries.
Sorry, Amanda, a couple of us, I don't know if I'm speaking for anyone else, but a couple of us, when it's not real slow-mo, it gets very jittery. At this point, I actually don't know what happened on that last. Is there any way you could give us that one back in slow-mo?
Yes.
The line out?
Yeah, it could just be Wi-Fi not working great tonight. Thanks for speaking up about it. I got no problem running it slow. Let's see if I can find it again. And I didn't press slow.
Oh, okay, right. So it's a lifter issue, not a interference issue. Is that what we're saying here?
No, take another look at the green number 6, I think it is.
Well, we are saying it is an interference issue, not a lifter issue.
Yeah, I see a hand on the back.
Do you?
No, it was a lifter issue as well, but that 5-6 gets all ball there.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I think.
green 5, not 6.
Yeah.
Was-
Just as everyone's getting in. So, Brian, what was your decision here?
Play on because
Right. Cool.
yeah.
Sorry, let's see. Yeah. So it looks like she's just pulled down because she's got a hold of the ball. You
Got
see
it.
something different?
Good. So good contest. Happy to play on.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Sure thing. All right, Brian, if that's it. Shanda, you're up. Thank you, Brian.
All
Thank you,
right,
Bob.
my turn up at bat. Yeah, so this game was a little bit more one-sided than I anticipated. But it was a nice day. It was a nice day at rugby. It made my job pretty simple. There wasn't many jobs for me to do, I guess. One team was significantly more dominant at scrum time, which became apparent with the 2 scrum penalties. And then I free kicked against the dominant team just because they were less than perfect. But other than that, there wasn't much for me to do. Wendy, unless you have other things to say, maybe there was things for me to do. I just wasn't doing them. Cool. Yeah, I did 2 tackler clips and then 1 AR clip. So I would start with the 9s late to the party. So this happened super early in the game. So me and Wendy talked about it. I probably could have set a precedent here, but it hurt me so much to need to blow my whistle because there's nobody that wants to play this ball. So I felt like if I had given the penalty, it would have been very gotcha police officer kind of like. So I just played on. Because, yeah. Oh my God, the 9 is so late to the party. Here she is.
Sorry, that's because I asked Amanda to play everything in slow-mo, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's real time. It felt that slow-mo on the day as well.
Here it is in real time. So she's just arrived and
She's
just
not
missed
even
the
there
player
yet.
called out.
There she is. Yeah. So I thought it was pretty crazy. If somebody else like made a glance at the ball as if they wanted to play, maybe I would feel better about giving a PK, but just looking for other people's thoughts on it.
Oh, do we want to say that again? Sorry.
Yeah, this is Marty. Does 3 not want to play halfback there?
I don't think 3 touched the ball all game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in theory she does. Or they just
Had. Shanda would have blown it.
Thanks.
Yeah. So
I'll be honest, oh, sorry, Shanda.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Marty, when I looked through this earlier, I thought the same thing as you, that I was like, maybe 3 wants to play it. But I think if you look at the player's eyes, their eyes are never really on either the player on the ground, kind of like, well, what the fuck are you doing there? Or on the ball. They're just kind of like surveying where the defense is to set up the next part of the ruck.
Yeah, I think if 3 had made any motion to play the ball, it's a super easy penalty to give.
I agree. And then this one is just a contrast clip. So I labeled them 9's not at the party. And then here I labeled it 9's at the party. So this is just yeah, exact opposite picture.
Is this not the right clip?
It is, but it's the tackle that follows like she carries the ball.
Cut
and
off.
it's that tackle.
Oh, so you didn't leave it long enough then.
For some reason it's cut off.
Weird.
So I can go out and find it, or we can all imagine a good clip.
It was just a really big tackler in the way, and I gave it pretty quickly.
Okay.
And then the last clip I had was air comms. So I just labeled it as Luann and our legends.
It has been very nice having them cover down there.
Yeah, they were definitely very helpful. Yeah, so this communication was just, Luann, I haven't seen a grounding, have you? And they were like, nope. And I was like, okay, let's go restart rugby. So it was pretty quick.
Sorry, the match commissioner's calling me right now. So Let me just ping her back. Not sure what that means, but WPL related. And that's all the clips.
That's all for me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. And thanks to everybody for putting those together. Okay, so for me, week 9, what I saw, it's really important for all of us to go and look at Andrew's game and take a look at those mauls. We are going to need to be ready for those, maybe this coming week, but absolutely for the finals. This week across the board, there were a couple of space issues that we were able to play through or ignore. So let's make sure we're paying attention to those, because sometimes space is very, very important, and it's one of our main jobs to create it and maintain it. And then my last little note is just about the intentional knock-ons. So we need to be getting these right. That needs
Hey,
to happen.
Amanda, can you clarify like what specifically about Andrew's malls, like the pulling away formation of them, or?
He had a bunch of them, and it's absolutely a strategy, right? That both Beantown and Berkeley are using. So we just need to they need to not catch us by surprise.
And then Andrew, were they off of like lineouts mostly, or is it in general play?
Entirely lineouts. And this has been something that they've been trying to do at least over the last 2 weeks. And I would assume this, and I know for a fact this is something they're going to continue to do.
All year.
Yeah.
Not a surprise.
Yep. So we just need to keep it at the forefront of our minds when we go into those matches. Be active at the mall, make sure we're getting the illegal defense when it happens. Yeah, and the games this week were really fun to watch, you guys. So good job across the board with the refereeing, and the stats looked really nice too. So we did well. Week 10 coming up, we do have 5 games. Atlanta is indeed playing twice. Dan Frankenfeld hopefully will be refereeing, but we may have a guest referee, remains to be seen. Shanda's going to be at Berkeley. Brian's headed up to Colorado. Haley, Life West, and Marty's heading to Chicago. So cool. That's pretty much it from me.
Yep. Haley, you're definitely in this week.
That I know of, yep.
Cool.
Awesome. I'm going to stop the
Do you
recording.
want to talk sometime? Go ahead, stop recording.
Okay.